It's week 10, and so it's time to start making some smart stashes to look ahead for the fantasy football playoffs. Of course, you always want to beat that breakout, grab some hot waiver wire pickups before everybody else is onto them. This week, there are a couple of familiar names coming back to relevance maybe. Remember that if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy using our promo code ENDGAME, not only do you get a 100% deposit match up to $100, you can also take advantage of the new customer special this week. It's Garrett Wilson just getting 1 yard. You take the higher on that pick 'em, combine it with any other pick you like, and you can triple your money. Again, check out Underdog Fantasy, click the link in the description below, or just download the app and use promo code ENDGAME when you sign up. All right, let's just get this out of the way first. Rashad Penny. You're either in or you're out. You're a truther or you're a hater. Like, there is no in between. Some people have been waiting, dying to see Rashad Penny in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform get back on the field. And some people just laugh and think, why are we still bothering? The fact that I'm talking about him here, does that mean I must be a truther or stan or whatever? Not really. Look, what I try to be is a reasonable, objective fantasy analyst. Well, let me say a couple of things. First of all, I don't really buy into the fact that Penny is what he used to be or ever could have been because he just can't stay healthy. But I also know he's on the roster of maybe the best offense in football, Philadelphia Eagles, and he just got back on the field for the first time in 2 months. And when he's healthy, and Penny just said himself, this is the longest stretch of time in which he's actually been healthy, and that's factually true. If he happens to get a crack at more playing time, who knows what could happen. Now, in their win over the Cowboys, he only saw 2 carries. All right, 2 carries, 8 yards. No big deal. It's just noteworthy that he actually got back on the field. Now, this was because Boston Scott was a surprise inactive, and I had to double check when I looked at the Eagles inactive list when it was scrolling through on Sunday morning. When I saw that Scott wasn't playing, I actually wondered, they're only going to go with 2 running backs this week? But no, Penny was on the field. Bottom line here, we know DeAndre Swift is the number 1 guy there. Kenneth Gainwell is Nick Sirianni's guy. He has continued to defend him and to say he is the number 2 running back here. So the path realistically is one of those guys gets hurt. But the reason I bring this up is because now that we're getting closer and closer to the fantasy playoffs, you might want to consider more strongly stashing running backs with upside, handcuffing your existing stud running back. And honestly, I can't think of too many backup running backs that have more upside than a guy like Rashad Penny. We all remember what he did just 2 years ago. He basically won leagues single-handedly when he was in Seattle week 13 on. Every week was one of the top running backs. Again, he actually just carried some teams from the waiver wire. Don't think that I'm saying he's going to do that this year or that even if DeAndre Swift magically disappeared that he would do that. But again, you're looking for stashes, you're looking for handcuffs, upside, all that stuff. Rashad Penny could be back. All right, not nearly as divisive a name here, but we have to look to Minnesota where Cam Akers is done for the season with that Achilles tear. Brutal for him. So once again, Ty Chandler is the RB2. Now, Alexander Madison is going to be pretty much a workhorse based on how he's been used. He's the guy there. He's been okay, not great, not bad. He's just been okay. Now, I don't know if they're going to get Chandler or any other running backs the ball more. If it's anybody, it's going to be Chandler because he's pretty much all they got now. You got to wonder because this is a different offense too. No more Kirk Cousins. You would think they would want to try to establish the run a little bit more, maybe mix it up a bit. Justin Jefferson still not quite back yet. Down the stretch, wouldn't be surprising if we see Chandler get a little bit more in terms of opportunities. He's been pretty good when he touched the ball. Right now, he's averaging 5.3 yards per rush. He's a pretty natural pass catcher. He did that quite a lot in college as well. This is an RB2 with less upside just based on the situation. Again, that Minnesota offense just right now is steady, but definitely not explosive given their current offensive pieces. But there's talent here. There's opportunity here. Chandler's a guy I've been interested in. I'm just curious to see if he does actually get the chance to do more in this offense. So deeper league, sure, stash him and let's wait and see. Now, the Cowboys didn't make any moves before the trade deadline, choosing to stand pat with what they have, but they did make a free agent move after the trade deadline to pick up a wide receiver. Is it possible that they get help from a wide receiver who hasn't played since 2018? I'm guessing no, and I'm not going to talk about Martavis Bryant. The guy is almost 32 years old. He just played in the XFL and wasn't really that good there, and they're bringing him off the street. No. What this means is it shows that they're worried about their current receivers behind CeeDee Lamb. So I'm not going to pick up Bryant, and I'm not going to tell you to pick up Bryant. I'm going to look at the guy who is getting an extended look and actually did something last week. How about second-year wideout Jalen Tolbert? Tolbert with a season-high 5 targets against that Eagles secondary, and he scored his first NFL touchdown, going for 49 yards and 3 catches. Look, that's a big step forward for him. Obviously, finally making an impact, getting some yards and a score. And they were going to him in the second half when they were trying to come from behind and make it a game. I mean, this shows that Dak Prescott is willing to target him. They're putting him out there. What this really tells me, along with this desperation, whatever you want to call that, signing of Bryant, the fact that Brandon Cooks didn't get a catch in this game, I think I'm now safely going to just give up on Brandon Cooks being a fancy asset this year and say that maybe he's dust. And Michael Gallup, I mean, maybe not done, but what has he really done this year? Gallup has only gone over 50 yards receiving twice this year, and over the last 4 games, he's averaging 20 yards a game. Look, Tolbert did absolutely nothing as a rookie, but the fact that those other 2 veterans just really aren't producing, and now their target shares are going down while Tolbert's has gone up, we really could see Tolbert get more involved and maybe even climb up the pecking order in terms of targets. This Dallas passing offense has been cooking lately. Dak looking great. And best of all, they have a really, really favorable schedule, especially against some terrible pass defenses next couple weeks. They're going to face the Giants, the Carolina Panthers, and the Washington Commanders. I know we're going to have to see Tolbert do something in consecutive games, be a little more consistent before we really buy in on him, but this is definitely a flyer worth taking. Another potent offense that is looking for help at wide receiver is the Chargers. We already know Mike Williams gone for the season, and now Josh Palmer, who had been the number 2 guy, on IR. And what we're hearing is he might not even be back the minimum amount of time, those 4 weeks. Could be an extended absence. Quentin Johnson, I mean, sure, he'll still run out there, but what has he done to really prove that he can be the guy? They're going to have to mix and match here. Now, I know a few weeks ago I mentioned Darius Davis, who made a big play last week on special teams. I mean, if you get points for punt returns, sure, you can go with Davis, but he's been supplanted by a guy who is not a new receiver, not a young player, someone who's just coming back from injury. That's Jalen Guyton. Guyton's been on the team for a few years, didn't play this year until week 9, missed almost all of last year with injury, but back in 2020 and 21 seasons, he went for about 500 yards, 3 touchdowns each season. What he is, he's a deep threat. He'll go vertical. He'll get the occasional long ball. This is kind of what I said I might be expecting with Davis, although maybe some of those like jet sweeps and things like that mixed in. It's what Guyton does. He does it well. That's kind of what this offense is missing with Mike Williams being able to go down the field. For his career, Guyton averages 16.8 yards per reception. And this year, under the new Kellen Moore-led offense, Justin Herbert is 7th among all quarterbacks in deep throws. In his first game back, Guyton didn't do anything. He got 2 targets, didn't catch either. Really, nobody did anything in this passing offense other than Keenan Allen. It was the Jets. It was a low-scoring game. They didn't need to throw the ball. I mean, he was at least out there on the field. Among all wide receivers, he was 3rd in snap share, behind only Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston. And at a 57% snap rate, he was out there more than all the other tight ends. I think we're going to see Guyton on the field quite a bit. Again, he's not going to get a heavy target share, but we're looking at quality, not quantity. Get 1 or 2 deep shots, maybe go for a long touchdown. That's what you're hoping for here. He'll get some short targets as well. Again, this team needs help, and maybe the return of the veteran is what they're looking for. How about another veteran receiver on a potent offense? Let's talk about a guy who's not playing in Week 10, but when he comes back, is probably going to resume being the number 3 receiver for the Miami Dolphins, Cedric Wilson Jr. Now, thinking back to that game against the Chiefs in Germany, Wilson was part of 2 highlight plays. One good and one not so good. Had a 31-yard touchdown, and then that non-touchdown that was either severely underthrown by Tua or a wrong route by Cedric Wilson. So let's forget the fact that the Dolphins didn't get that last-minute touchdown, didn't beat the Chiefs, whatever. Let's talk fantasy. Cedric Wilson's value is climbing because he's getting more involved now as the year goes on. Even though, again, just like a couple weeks ago, his only grab was that touchdown, he did get 5 targets. He's been on the field more than Braxton Berrios lately, and in terms of targets per route run, again, he's number 3 in this offense, more than the starting tight end, Durham Smythe, who they don't use, more than Berrios, and yes, more than Chase Claypool, who, no, will not start seeing targets all of a sudden. As long as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are out there, no other receiver will get a significant amount of targets. But again, here, we're looking for quality. This is a team that can score quickly. Cedric Wilson has the speed, has the playmaking ability. We've seen it a couple times. Jalen Waddle's been battling some injuries lately, been banged up. Worst case scenario is something happens to Ty Hill or Jalen Waddle. You don't really want to look for handcuffing a wide receiver, but if you're looking for a high-end backup, I think Wilson fits that bill. If you didn't catch all our other Week 10 coverage in terms of start, sit, buy low, waiver wire, and everything else, check it out on our playlist right here. Everything you need to win in fantasy.